I mean, would you use the N-word out of interest?
Yes.
You would?
I do quite frequently.
You use the N-word quite frequently. Well, why?
Yes, if it's appropriate.
When would it be appropriate?
Anytime I feel like it.
So you're an unashamed racist.
Correct.
Conservative influencers will often ask the question, how can a simple movement like the Tradwife movement be associated with such extreme ideals? But for a group who loves religion, they almost never ask this question in good faith, and they also tend to ignore any answers to the question. They rely on creating false dichotomies or reducing very nuanced arguments or criticisms into strawmen that they can easily attack, because that is what sells.
Oh my gosh, it is so frightening that these women are happy and healthy doing something that you're not doing, that they are actually in tune with what they were biologically designed to do. If you want to be in tune with your body, you need Bon Charge. Again, that is boncharge.com/Cooper. Use code Cooper15 to save 15% off your order. You will feel happy and healthy, just like these women who are so content making sourdough bread.
Sometimes they may use the Socratic method, choosing to respond to your concerns with a question, such as,
Are you triggered?
Are you triggered?
Are you triggered?
Traditional Liz, aka the day caller Tradwife on TikTok, recently asked this question herself. When did wanting a slow, traditional life turn into being labeled an extremist, oppressed, abused, racist, and all-around hater? And well, Traditional Liz, let's answer that question. What's up everyone, it's Ashley and welcome back to my channel. So today we have another deep dive of another Tradwife, and let me just tell you, this creator is not beating the it's a kink allegations.
What is a day caller? A day caller is normally a subtle piece of jewelry that submissives wear to show that they have a dominant person in their life, and it shows commitment and it shows the relationship that they have with their dom.
She is certainly not beating the it's a grift allegations.
Y'all have fully paid my bills this month from that one video. So while y'all think you're doing me a disservice, y'all paid my bills.
And she's not beating that this is tied to white supremacy allegations.
I'm gonna tell y'all ways I submit to my husband as a Tradwife. Keep in mind, not every man is worthy of submission.
As I said in the beginning of this video, Traditional Liz, also known as the Day Caller Girl, asked on her page why the Tradwife movement is associated with such extreme viewpoints, and I thought we could use her profile and her content and all of the information that I found on my deep dive with her as a sort of case study to answer that question. We're going to explore this by looking at three categories, what I like to call the Troubling Tradwife Trinity. 1. Propaganda and grifting. 2. Misogyny and blurring biblical gender roles with kink. And 3. How this all relates to white supremacy. That is how we are going to explore this topic. A quick note before we begin. I just want to make it clear that this video is not necessarily about proving if Liz, Traditional Liz, aka the Day Caller Girl, is racist or not, even though it's not looking great based on what I found. But rather, this video is just to show why the movement overall is associated with racism, radicalization, and extreme beliefs, as well as abuse. So let's begin. So who is the subject of our case study? This is Traditional Liz. When she first went viral, she was going by the name Farm Mama Liz, but most people may know her as the Day Caller Girl. She gained notoriety on TikTok when she made a video discussing her day collar, which is traditionally a necklace that is worn in the BDSM community.
I'm a Tradwife and I wear a day collar. My day collar is a daily sign of submission for us. It is a deeper level of connection than a wedding ring. It's an outside of the bedroom type of thing. Mixing
the Christian traditional lifestyle with BDSM is something that definitely caused a big stir. And I believe that was personally a bit intentional. As you can see by some of these comments here, where people say, hey, you talk about being a Tradwife and you talk about kink, and those two things are just really gonna make you pop off. You know, just your typical conservative rage-baiting tactics.
Y'all get so triggered by those words. Are you triggered?
Are you triggered?
Are you triggered?
So let's get into our first section, grifting and propaganda. Before we dive in, I want to discuss the different levels and tiers of grifting and propaganda. There are people who push propaganda for power. So this could be heads of state or governments, whether they're trying to influence their own people or governments trying to influence the people of other countries, or billionaires in our own country like Curtis Yarvin or Peter Thiel, who are so out of touch with reality that they dream of dismantling democracy to turn us little people into serfs in their fantasy of techno-feudalism. Or the other group of billionaires in this country who dream of dismantling democracy in order to create a Christian Reconstructionist version of America where theocracy rules, which we will be discussing. There are people who fake it for money, aka grifters. Most of these people have failed in other areas of entertainment.
That is a loser.
And they'll go any way the wind blows. So when Tradwife influencers were first becoming popular, Michael Knowles was just shilling it left, right, and center. And then now that the wind is blowing another way, he's changed his mind.
Women who have a social media presence, you know, they're like taking
that was the key
themselves.
phrase to me, was social media presence.
Yeah, it's not possible to be a tradwife. I think if a woman's posting a lot of selfies, if she's married, she is seeking validation, or at the very least, she is wittingly or unwittingly attracting attention from men who are not her husband, and that's not very trad. That's not good for anybody.
But these are people who engage in rage bait, who are constantly shifting what they believe because they're in it as a grift for attention and for money. And there are people who are convinced they are doing the right thing, even if it's against their better interest. So this would be like your uncle on Facebook who's constantly posting memes about how Bill Gates is the Antichrist or whatever the conspiracy of the week is.
There's a good old-fashioned word for people like this. We call them suckers.
You can see how these three bits of the pyramid work together. It's like trickle-down propaganda. The weirdos at the top who want power, they start the propaganda and they fund its implementation. They get it out into society and start the culture wars to get us to hate each other. Then the grifters pick it up because they see that it's profitable, or the big guys at the top are paying people to say what they want to say, and before you know it, it trickles down to the normies, and you see a nice lady making sourdough, and then all of a sudden they start thinking Hitler's speeches weren't so bad. That's not hyperbole. Liz literally did that.
I didn't do that for months. I didn't drop a bomb on Paris.
And I'll cover that a little bit more later in the last section of our video. But first, let's take a look at the 7 devices of propaganda developed by the Institute for Propaganda Analysis during the 1930s. Think of propagandists as energy vampires, and these are the 7 ways that they siphon your energy. Number 1, glittering generalities. This is when propagandists will throw around empty virtue words to try to stir up your emotions to get you to accept something without actually looking at the evidence. It's basically a cheap attempt to dazzle your senses by throwing out some very vague, good-sounding words. I love traditional family values. Don't look at me while I'm cheating on my wife with a pool boy. Number 2, testimonial. This is when an influencer, a celebrity, or a person with authority says that they like something. Oh, Nicki Minaj and Russell Brand are a part of Turning Point USA, so that must mean maybe they're the cool party. It couldn't possibly be that the right is a notoriously great place to grift and to be protected if you have predator allegations against you. Lanes, folks. This is when people put on what I like to call blue-collar drag. You see this one a lot in the tradwife world. They're just living our blue-collar life when they're living on like million-dollar land and running an empire. People do this to try to make it feel like they're just like one of you. Yes, he is so blue-collar. That's why his mentor is apparently evil billionaire Peter Thiel. Transfer propaganda is also known as guilt by association or virtue by association. A symbol is used to evoke emotions for a certain thing. Like the DHS using images of fathers and sons to attempt to transfer feelings of manhood, family values, fathers, and family love and bonding onto f***ing joining ICE. Or when they use scripture in ads for ICE recruitment to evoke feelings of biblical purpose. Bandwagon propaganda. This is when the propagandist tries to convince you to jump on board of an idea or a movement because everyone else is doing it. It's the wave of the future. You're gonna miss out if you don't do what I say. One example of this is when conservatives try to fearmonger women into having children. People who have kids are the happiest that you've ever seen, so you better make sure you have them. Bandwagon is a MAGA favorite. Number 6, card stacking. This is when the propaganda uses only selected information or only a little bit of the story to try to sell you on something. Like when a student claims her religious liberties were violated when she got an F on her paper, when in reality, it was a terrible paper. All right, last but definitely not least, name calling. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. This is where somebody creates a negative name for you and uses it to discredit you.
The radical left, the Marxist.
So I mentioned rage bait earlier, and that is going to be key in discussing how propaganda spreads online. There's a great quote from Mad Men that says, "There are more failed intellectuals and faux artists here than in the Third Reich," and oh my god, if that isn't YouTube. If that isn't YouTube. People in advertising and people online specifically rely on what is called negativity bias. People are using our hatred of one another as a business tactic, as a money-making tactic, and also as a way to grab power. It's the classic divide and conquer. And the idea of rage baiting is not something that's new either. Joseph Goebbels, the Minister of Propaganda in 1930s Nazi Germany, talked about this in one of his speeches here. Propaganda shows that it is good if over a certain period it can win over and fire up people for an idea. If it fails to do so, it is bad propaganda. No one can say your propaganda is too crude or low or brutal or that it is not decent enough, for those are not the relevant criteria. Its purpose is not to be decent, gentle, or weak, or modest. It is to be successful. Propaganda should be popular, not intellectually pleasing. The question is whether it reached its goal. My goal when I came to Berlin was to make the city aware of us. They could love us or hate us as long as they knew who we were. This is why a lot of conservative influencers don't give a if it's rage bait or dishonest or illogical.
What does fetus mean?
A fetus is in utero.
What does fetus mean in Latin?
It
means little human being.
So that was a fucking lie.
They just care about winning people, and using emotion is the best way for them. They anger people and they create fear, which fires people up in the primal part of their brain. In this state, accessing higher faculties of your mind is difficult, so you won't be critically thinking about what's being said because you're in an emotional state. You cannot access critical thinking, only black and white thinking, which the propagandists thrive on. When people are riling you up so hard against another person and they're making everything black and white, they have an agenda. Somebody benefits from that, and it is not you. So that's a brief overview of propaganda, but what is the why? Why are we seeing such a push for traditional gender roles and for getting women to shun feminism in favor of becoming a tradwife? If you said Christian Reconstructionism, you would be right. Come and get your prize. What's a Christian Reconstructionist? I'm so glad you asked. You know how conservatives are always freaking out about the globalist and the New World Order conspiracy, where they think a secret group of powerful elites are conspiring to rule the world through an authoritative one-world government? Well, little do they know that the call is coming from inside the house. This is what Christian Reconstructionists are aiming for, and they're using conservative politics, money-hungry politicians, people willing to do anything for the grift, and propaganda to make it happen. Christian Reconstructionism is a movement that started in America in 1965 by Rojas Rushdoony. Christian Reconstructionists believe that a biblical law based on the Old Testament should apply to all aspects of society, including all forms of government. According to this article from Salon, Reconstructionists aim to establish a theocracy, though most would no doubt bristle at that description. They do not want to, quote, take over the government so much as they want to dismantle it, but the end result would be a social order based on biblical law, including all the Old Testament goodies like stoning gay people to death while at the same time justifying biblical slavery. This movement has been going on since the mid-60s, and in the 1980s, American evangelicals decided that they really needed to up the ante in terms of Christian nationalism due to their fear that communists and feminists were taking over America, so they stepped out of the church in search of a new bride for Christ, the Republican Party. And thus, the Council for National Policy was born. Created in 1981 by Tim LaHaye, the famed author of the Fundy Rapture series Left Behind, the Council for National Policy is a highly secretive group where Christian elites who have tied themselves to the Conservative Party socialize and strategize on how to bring about a Christian Reconstructionist vision of America, where the democracy is replaced by a theocracy, basing its rule of law on the Old Testament. And they don't want to just stop at America. No, this is a global mindset. They want to have a theocracy of the world. Just like they claim the Antichrist will make a one-world government. Isn't that weird? Gives you something to think about. Uninvited outsiders and the press are barred from this highly confidential group, but through the years it's been discovered that members include Mike Pence, Jenny Thomas, and the late Charlie Kirk. This video here, which I will link below, is a great resource for learning about Christian Reconstructionism as well as the Council for National Policy. It's a bit dated and the sound is a bit off, but I did want to play you this one clip in particular.
What tickles the Reconstructionists is that their ideas have been picked up by mainstream, both political and religious groups, and they say, and they don't even know where it comes from. Look at that, our ideas are out there, and this person doesn't even know who a Reconstructionist is.
Yeah, so how do you think those ideas are getting out there? When you have your normies out here all of a sudden spouting ideas from Christian Reconstructionism, not having any idea that there is a mass propaganda machine that is working to get these ideas out there, it tickles the Reconstructionists. That is their main goal. Tradwife propaganda is part of this. It's part of their biblical worldview that they want to push onto the masses.
When you are a woman under authority, you get to see how God uses your life. That anxiety is what feminism is all about for what they want. They want you to be anxious.
Anyone duped by these videos could probably spend some time improving their critical thinking skills.
There's a reason why Charlie Kirk told this 14-year-old to go to school only for a husband.
Hi Charlie, I'm Addie and I'm 14. I'm a freshman in high school, and I was wondering, as someone who has a different opinion on college, what would you say the pros and cons are? Because I'm interested in political journalism, and what would your advice be?
Yes, so let me also speak to some of the young ladies here in high school where your top, who's here with your top priority? Your top priority is to get married and have kids. Raise your hand. Okay.
Ew.
Interestingly, I think there is an argument to bring back the MRS degree. And no, seriously. And just be clear, that's why you're going to college.
Talk about groomer, right? So when you have Liz coming out here saying to submit to your husband.
If you're a wife, I have a tip for you. Shut up. Because as a woman, you shouldn't be stepping into a room demanding respect, and you definitely shouldn't be demanding respect from your husband. Embrace the meekness.
Or that your children's identity is under attack and she needs to pray for you and also sell you the book that she is quote unquote praying from. Or that feminism is just a government conspiracy. Yeah, she is spouting out Christian Reconstructionist propaganda and she doesn't even know it, but I'm sure she is convinced that she is a free thinker. Let's take a deeper look at Tradwives and grifting. All Tradwife content creators follow the same cycle when it comes to grifting, in my opinion, and let's use Liz's content to show you that cycle. Let's take a look at how she does it. What are the beats to the anti-feminist Tradwife cycle? Step 1, rage bait with something controversial. Bonus points if you can put down feminist.
What I say is about to offend you, it's called accountability. If you look up who do modern feminists hate, you'll see a picture of me, so I'm gonna tell you why. You're called to submit to your husband whether you like it or not.
Step 2, cry victim when people are offended at the rage bait that you purposely made to be offensive. Feminists just hate me.
When did we stop being kind to each other? Like, when did that just get thrown out the window? My platform is a safe place. It is a good environment.
Okay, yeah, a quote-unquote safe environment, a safe space, if you will. Like this post here when she's making fun of trans people, saying she doesn't want to be their friends. Or how about this post where she promotes the translated speech of Hitler and tells her followers that they need to listen. Yeah, I'll talk more about that later. Bonus points if the misogynist that you pander to, who you would never look at twice in real life, will come to your aid in the comments, declaring that you are a beacon here to save the West from all of the girl-bossing feminists, even though you literally are girl-bossing at the moment.
I have one video going viral right now. I've made almost $500 off of it. Hypothetically.
Sell something.
Get your Coopery sprays. It comes with 3 on the go. You can chuck in your purse. And 3 full-size bottles.
When views are low, get that rage bait right back up.
Y'all think divorce is an option and it's not.
Okay, great. That's your cycle.
I'm just dilly-dallying all day long.
There is a fine line between wanting to come online and to change your life to make a living off of being a content creator and between being a grifter. So let's define grifter. According to Cambridge, a grifter is someone who gets money dishonestly by tricking people.
AKA a con artist, a con artiste, if you will.
I would argue that by that definition, every tradwife is a grifter.
Okay, let me just clarify this. When I say this, I mean tradwife influencers. I don't mean any person who wants to be a traditional stay-at-home wife. I'm specifically talking about women who co-opt the housewife aesthetic for profit, but then never show that or offer anything of real value. These are not, quote, traditional wife influencers. They are girl bosses whose niche is anti-feminism. They just see that this movement is popular, so they latch onto it to make a quick buck. I'm gonna repeat this. They are girl bosses. At the end of the day, they are the girl bosses that they hate so much. Like here with tradwife Soli Oli, who will say that a woman's role is to cook and clean and take care of her husband and children, but then will sell courses on how to be an influencer and build a brand, like her nap time side hustle course, which appears to go anywhere from $500 all the way up to $7,000 according to this post. But unlike the corporate girl bosses out there, these tradwife girl bosses earn money and move up the money-making ladder while pulling that ladder up behind them, making it harder for younger women to move up as well. As their influence continues to spread the message of anti-feminism and anti-women working outside of the home. Even Nara Smith, who was like tradwife influencer extraordinaire, like everyone was calling her a tradwife, even Nara Smith has come out to say, please stop calling me a tradwife. I am a working mom.
I work. I'm very busy. I travel almost every week. I have kids that I raise. I love being in the kitchen because it's a passion of mine, not because I have to. It doesn't matter how much I voice those things and try to make people understand that I am actually a full-time working mom, that they just don't want to get it. They use me as this poster child of this like very traditional wife, and I'm not. There's nothing truly traditional about us as a couple, apart from maybe that we chose to have kids young and get married young. But apart from that, we split chores 50-50. There's things that Lucky does that I guess traditional men wouldn't do, like do the dishes or get the kids dressed or do their hair or whatever it may be that people don't associate with a traditional man. And there's things that I do, like having a full-time career and having Lucky be home watching the children while I travel for 2 weeks.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
So taking a look at her page, it appears that from the beginning she was very much into making a TikTok for income. Nearly every post in the beginning, and even a few now, she is selling. One moment she's selling a prayer book. 1 minute she is selling a dress.
Selling End the Wokeness cards. Oh look, another dress. Oh look, another prayer book. Grace 5 minutes with God. Here she has a product to help with baldness.
Try to get your hair back and click the link below.
Bragging about getting 2K from one product. This is some sort of like rain catcher. Selling methylene blue. Because if Alex Jones is shilling it, well then it must be legit. Okay, so fluoride, bad. Fish tank cleaner, good. Got it.
Methylene blue has actually been around since the 1800s and it has been used for many different reasons.
Like for cleaning fish tanks.
It is actually FDA approved as well.
It is FDA approved, but not for any of the things that she's listing. It's specifically for just one very rare disease where your skin is blue. It is not FDA approved for anything that she's listed. And again, you know what else is FDA approved? Vaccines!
Hypothetically.
Get out, you quack! Oh look, gotta co-opt the tradwife life and social issues to sell this dress. Not only in this video does she co-opt the tradwife life movement and the 4B movement, she also decides to use a little bit of rage bait in this video as well, where she says, saying that being overly worried about social issues is a bit privileged. Girl, that's your whole freaking page, so you admit you're privileged. And look, she misspelled the word privilege. It's a good thing she's got Charlie Kirk helping her homeschool her kids. It doesn't matter if they can spell, so long as the Turning Point USA Christian Reconstructionist propaganda is learned.
This is my third free curriculum kit from Turning Point Academy.
Free? Not the free education that conservatives hate.
Turning Point Academy is founded by Charlie Kirk, and they have so many free resources for homeschoolers. And it's very easy to follow along if you've never done homeschooling before.
Hypothetically.
Controversial take, but I think that kids have a right to education from someone actually qualified to give it to them. She is always selling, but at the end of the day, in my opinion, she is also selling a lifestyle and using Jesus and Christianity to do that. What is it that Jesus said? My house shall be called a house of prayer, but you have made it into a den of thieves. So many of her posts talk about wanting to change her family's life, to get out of debt. It is looking for engagement boosting and just wanting to be a creator who is able to make a lot of money on TikTok. That appears to be her goal first and foremost. Now, if that's just your goal, there's nothing wrong with that, right? There are plenty of creators who have had their lives changed by becoming sensations online, and I'm not against that. However, what I am against is when the content you're creating is inauthentic, or when it is based on rage bait, misinformation, propaganda, is a scam, or that is something that can harm or infringe on the rights of another person. And just to be clear, I want to say, if that's what you want to do with your time, that's fine. If you want to have a bunch of kids and run a business and work online and be a creator, by all means. But there are plenty of creators who do this. There are plenty of creators who come online and say, I'm gonna cook for my boyfriend, or I'm gonna cook for my husband, or creators who mostly do home or cooking content coming online to celebrate that their family is growing. They're able to build their platforms without putting down feminists, without putting down gay people, without putting down trans people, without engaging with racist content. And that is part of the difference. They also do not say that in order to be in your feminine, in order to be a person of God, that you must follow this biblical role. Those creators are able to build their platforms without putting down the feminists who allow them to have these businesses and these platforms. Liz even has multiple videos where she is saying, oh, my husband provides, and I'm so glad that I can stay home with my children and just work on art projects and live my cute little tradwife life. So in this video here, she posts a video of herself spinning around, and the text she has on screen is, catch me frolicking and dilly-dallying all day because I'm, quote, I'm oppressed being a tradwife. And it's like, okay, first of all, just calling being a stay-at-home mom or a traditional wife, calling that just dilly-dallying all day minimizes the work and the real issues that actual traditional wives and stay-at-home wives face. Like, are you dilly-dallying all day, or are you teaching your kids to read, babe? Are you dilly-dallying, or are you taking care of your household? Now, a feminist respecting housewives more than these tradwife influencers. Running a household is work. Making sure your house is clean, making sure the laundry is done, making sure your kids are fed, and if you're homeschooling your kids, which Liz says that she does, that's work. And the fact that Liz is just saying, I'm just dilly-dallying all day, really it's in the face of traditional wives. Like, if you're a traditional wife and you happen to be watching my content, what are you doing supporting these influencers that are co-opting your life and making it into something, making it into this glorified, like, idealistic vacation almost? These people talk about how traditional wives and mothers don't get respect in society, but you're the one sitting here calling their work dilly-dallying. And the reality is, she's not even actually, quote, dilly-dallying in that video. She's making the video to sell the dress using the tradwife lifestyle as a hook. She is working, and not even just working online. She literally has a job. In this post here, she says that she is working from home, and in the comments, she clarifies that she is a medical transcriptionist. And I looked up the average salary for a medical transcriptionist, and I came up with about $20 an hour, which is well above the minimum wage of $7.25 in her home state. I don't know for sure if that is what she made, but listed as the average is $20 an hour. But this is just the tip of the iceberg, because our girl Liz has been girl bossing for a minute here. Before doing the tradwife shtick, she actually had a business page with a product she had created, and we'll talk about that now.
This is my baby. These are patented one-of-a-kind crochet hooks that I have in my store case right now. There's 3 different sizes. You have 5, 5.5, and 6. One end is your normal crochet hook, and the other end has a covered blade to cut yarn. This is limited stock, and once they're gone, they're gone. I don't know when I'm going to be able to order with the manufacturer again. I'm hoping by the end of 2025, I can be on online seller websites. I'm hoping my hooks will be in big craft stores. That's my main goal for this year. Can you help me get there? So I'm currently in the process of creating my very own how to crochet kit. It's going to come with my one-of-a-kind unique crochet hook, all the yarn you'll need, written, possible video instructions as well. So follow me, follow along, and I will release the drop date here soon.
What is really sad is that this is actually a cool idea, and Liz is clearly creative and talented when it comes to crocheting and crafting, but ever since courting controversy to go viral as a tradwife, she has altogether stopped talking about this. Crocheting is a real skill that so many people would love to learn, and there is a market and an audience for it, but apparently it's easier to grift. Creativity, am I right? She had a website, she had a Facebook, and she even said that she patented the idea. Now, I looked up the cost of patenting something, and that's not cheap. That can cost thousands of dollars, not to mention the cost of manufacturing the needle that you have designed. That also costs money. Now, running a business is awesome if that's your thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But her refusal to acknowledge that she is more of a girl boss than a tradwife, that she isn't as poor as she is portraying, apparently, allegedly,
hypothetically,
and that she is using both tradwifery and the Bible for profit is deceitful, in my opinion. I also find it so strange that her entire page is all about wanting to change her life, wanting to earn money. Oh my gosh, we're trying to get by. Can you help us out? Trying to earn some money here, and yet you're putting down women who want to go work. If you're somebody who is struggling to get by, why would you get online and start on people who are working to make a better life for themselves? And it's even worse because you do so as a marketing tactic for your own brand. You do not offer anything of value, just rage bait.
If you look up who do modern feminists hate, you'll see a picture of me. Are you triggered?
Are you triggered? Are you triggered? Cosplaying the working class while shitting on the working class, or shitting on women who want to work and build a better life for themselves, is weird. It's loser energy. Let's move on to our next category in our Troubling Tradwife Trinity: misogyny and blurring biblical gender roles with kink. One question that feminists and a lot of people who are very concerned about the dangers, what they consider to be the dangers of the tradwife movement, is what are you going to do if something happens to your husband? What are you going to do? What if he leaves you, or what if he passes away and you have all of these children? In this video here, Liz comes online and says, well, I would get a job.
If God forbid something ever happened to your husband, what are you gonna do? Are you just gonna find another man to submit to? I'm gonna get a job. What type of question is that?
She acts as though it's the most simple thing in the world, not taking into account that many people who are pushed into this lifestyle are told, like this video here, Charlie Kirk telling a 14-year-old, don't go to school, find a husband. How is a young person who has never gone to school and who has never worked all of a sudden having to enter an already competitive workforce? How is a person who has zero work experience going to fare in that world? How is a person with zero work experience and zero education going to find a job that will cover her house and the cost of her children, and not to mention now the cost of childcare? And also, these feminists that you claim are just a government conspiracy. Warning, feminism incoming list. Did you know that if you have small children and you want to get a job, did you know that it is because of feminists that a workplace cannot discriminate against hiring you if you are a mother of young children? That case is from 1971, Phillips versus Martin Marietta Corporation. The U.S. Supreme Court outlaws the practice of private employees refusing to hire women with preschool children. You can thank feminism for that. If something happens to your husband or to any of these women's husband and you have to get a job and take care of your small kids, people used to be able to say, I don't want to hire you. Not to mention all of the other legal protections that feminists have fought for. Liz has mentioned a couple times on her page that she was really inspired by Chris and Peaches of the To Be Better podcast to have the relationship that she has today. This is another couple that is blurring the lines between BDSM and the tradwife lifestyle and making a business out of it. If you take a look at their website, they offer everything from merch all the way up to couples retreats in other countries that can cost thousands of dollars for them to give you probably very unqualified advice. So between YouTube, Patreon, their retreats, their merch, their podcast, they are running a huge business. She isn't a submissive wife. She may be a submissive in the bedroom, but she is not a submissive wife. She's a business partner and she's working 8 to 10 hours a day.
Before all of this, I was a housewife. me taking care of the house is how I served you as a wife. And we are becoming so busy, and I'm becoming so busy that it's not maintainable anymore for me to do it on my own.
You got 24 hours in a day, and you get to determine what you're going to do with those 24 hours. And if we're working, both of us are working 8 to 10 hour days. And when you look at the grand scheme of things, we are. I don't want to not spend my time with you because you're doing dishes and cleaning. I would rather spend the time than have to worry about that. And if that means I have to pick up around the house and do some of it, fucking so what?
Yeah, that sounds nice and sweet on the surface, but at the end of the day, this couple and the people they work with are promoting a trad wife life. The rest of the time, Peaches and her partner Buff Bell are talking about not working, about being taken care of as trad wives, when in reality, they are boss babes, y'all. Like, it's just the writing's on the wall. They are asking you not to believe your own eyes. It's really weird. And while Chris and Peaches come online and promote a trad wife lifestyle, let it be known that in my research, I found that Chris was previously married and cheated on this wife while she was sick with cancer.
I used to be married previously. I was with the same person for, my God, almost 20 years. And he was a horrible man. We owned businesses together. I thought I was in love. I thought I was with my soulmate for life, and I was wrong. I was very wrong. He had definitely pulled the wool over my eyes, and he cheated on me the whole time and blamed it on me. You know, I got diagnosed with cancer a few years back, stage 3B colorectal cancer. I got really sick, and I mean, the first 4 months of it was just me in the hospital. I mean, it was really bad, and he was just not there for me. I mean, I did not know that really he was ready to have left me before then. I didn't know, and he stayed, but he treated me like garbage. And needless to say, the whole marriage, and especially through my cancer, he cheated on me a lot more than I ever could have expected, which was pretty devastating for me. And he treated me really bad, and it really hurt. And I don't know that I'll ever forgive him for that.
Not to mention, Peaches is roughly Chris's daughter's age, apparently. And his daughter doesn't want anything to do with them. There are many people who have come forward to say that their marriage was a sham, that they weren't even married when they started this podcast. So there's a lot of controversy, a lot of drama. I don't have the time to cover it all in this video. It probably deserves a video of its own. I'm gonna place that information on the screen, and you can pause to read some of what people have been saying online. And again, I'm just going to say it's alleged because people are saying this online, allegedly. And yeah, so this is not a couple to look up to if you're looking for your wholesome traditional family values. They are grifters, and they are who inspired Liz to also incorporate kink into her social media platform. Some of what Liz says is just straight up copying Peaches, because apparently in this space you can't be original or have a thought of your own. You must be told by someone else who to be and what to think. Surprise.
I am also somebody who believes that you should make out for 10 minutes before deciding you don't want to have sex. I think that is a big deal. If nothing, you guys had 10 minutes of intimacy together.
This is my #1 marriage hot take that y'all are probably gonna hate. You cannot withhold intimacy from your spouse. If you are going to say no to your spouse, y'all need to at least have some sort of a little bit of intimacy for 5 to 10 minutes and then see if it's still a no. So y'all gotta make out for 5 to 10 minutes and then see if it's still a no. Y'all gotta sit down and cuddle and be all lovey-dovey and umpy 5 to 10 minutes and then see if it's a no.
She blurs the lines and shows that the word no in her world doesn't actually mean no. You have to test it or coerce it, which is not consent or respecting a person's clearly stated boundaries for their body. One of the things that is key in a BDSM relationship, that is key in the kink world, is consent. And in the trad wife world, many of these women speak out against the idea of consent. They say that consent within marriage is not a thing. Many of them promote marital. So many tradwife influencers and fundy influencers in general appear to have so many psychosexual hangups, which is probably the result of religion and purity culture. What's under this obsession with gender roles, sexuality, and control? It's like if you scratch a fascist, you will find a deeply sexually insecure person, and 99% of the time, the louder they are about these gender roles and sexuality and purity culture, the more messed up they are behind the scenes. Like Ted Haggard, who preached against the gays and then was found having relations with a man in a parking lot.
I think I know what you did last night. If you send me $1,000, I won't tell your wife.
or televangelist Jim Bakker, who was accused of assaulting a church secretary, or the Falwells and their pool boy, or the TikTok dad who proposed to his daughter with a purity ring, asking her to remain pure until she was married, was found out to be writing daddy-daughter non-safe-for-work stories on a popular forum under a pseudonym. The purity culture to perverted pipeline is real, y'all. I also wanted to add in this section about Christian fundamentalism, Christian complementarianism, and how it is weaponized to prime women for abuse. It was revealed that Jeffrey Epstein was freely texting out parenting advice from James Dobson. And for those of you who don't know, James Dobson is a famous Christian author who founded a lot of teachings where the main principle was child abuse. These principles are used to subjugate and to abuse people and to emotionally manipulate women in particular into accepting abuse, which is why Epstein was texting this Christian author.
There is also a movement within the tradwife world called domestic discipline, which is where husbands want to physically discipline their wives.
There are so many people out there who, under the guise of being a dom, will just be abusive. They don't respect the dynamics or the ethics that go into this community. Safe, sane, and consensual. Being mean or being abusive or just telling people what to do does not make you a dom.
It's BDSM culture without the boundaries, without the safe words, and without the very clear consent. Liz tries to make this claim that submissive wives hold the power, but this claim doesn't hold up the way that it does in the BDSM world. Submissives in the kink world hold the power because they control the dynamic. They control the boundaries and they can revoke consent, and they have a safe word. There is no safe word in the tradwife lifestyle.
Nor is there any sort of intentional aftercare or clear ending to a scene. They make it reality and not fantasy, which is not only unhealthy, but dangerous. Not to mention, they are uneducated on the safe ways to perform dominant acts of discipline, because they are viewing it as real, not fantasy.
I wear a day collar, I submit, and I serve my husband every single day. The common misconception is that this is only a kinky thing, and it's really not. It's 2 o'clock in the morning and my man wants me to cook a steak. Baby, I'm getting up and I'm cooking that man a steak. It is about the sacrificial love that we have. It is a biblical sacrificial love. This means he's my leader. I'm going to submit to him. It's my reminder. It's not a bedroom thing for me.
There's no discussion of boundaries and safe words, and they're not interested in stepping out of the scene for some aftercare. It's not good, guys.
And for our final section of the video, let's talk about the tradwife world and its connection to white supremacy.
Oh my gosh, y'all, look at these cute little families, these happy little traditional families. Oh wait, no, sarcasm. That's sarcasm. This is actual Nazi propaganda.
Nazi Germany pushed the tradwife lifestyle, so people connect the two.
Yeah, and quick update, like I've said a few times already in the video, Liz literally posted a video promoting and encouraging people to go listen to Hitler speeches that have been translated. The worst of the worst are posted under that sound.
And I am also going to say that I am not directly accusing her of being a white supremacist. The Confederate flag is really not helping her case against those accusations, but I don't really know her. These photos were posted a few years ago and people change. However, they're still up.
Not to mention, in this video here, Liz says that she knew her husband when they were both in high school.
My husband and I's story is actually crazy. We met in high school, he was my brother's best friend, and I blocked him 3 times before I gave him a chance.
But even back then, for Liz, for her family, it appears as though the Confederate flags were not a deal breaker. Like I said, this video is not about proving whether or not Liz is or is not racist or a white supremacist or whatever. But what I am saying is that it's not looking great.
I also want to say too, as someone who grew up in the South, I know there are a lot of people who say that the Confederate flag, it's just about states' rights. It's just about legacy. It's just about heritage. That heritage was owning other people, okay? States' rights to do what? To own and enslave people. And regardless of what you say, people find it to be a racist symbol. So traditionalists, when you ask this question here, why is this movement associated with racism and extremism? And then I just scratch the surface and look a little deeper into who you are. I'm able to find your husband in front of a Confederate flag That should answer your question. It's because of things like this. You have a creator who comes on espousing all of these ideas, espousing conspiracy theories against feminists, appearing to be grifting.
I got all this for free. Do y'all want to know how I did it? Post the freaking content, y'all. Oh my gosh, post the freaking content!
And then you just scratch the surface and boom, there's a Confederate flag. There's the white supremacy. That's why.
And this has been going on since the Tradwife movement first showed up.
The Tradwife movement has been going on for quite some time. I started seeing Tradwife content in maybe 2017, and one of the OG Tradwives online was Mrs. Midwest, aka Caitlin Huber. She and other creators at the time like Lauren Southern really pushed the rhetoric of saving the West. Saving the West from what? In certain circles, people will say that Tradwives are here to save the West. How? By having white babies. That's what they believe.
Like the time Isla Stewart, a Tradwife influencer, created the White Baby Challenge. According to this article here, leading the tribe is far-right influencer Isla Stewart, who shot to social media fame when her notorious White Baby Challenge went viral after she declared, "As a mother of 6, I challenge families to have as many white babies as I have contributed." The motive behind the White Baby Challenge and much of Tradwife culture is a fear of the so-called Great Replacement, a baseless conspiracy theory that believes white people are being replaced by migrant people from the global south, while feminists repress the white birth rate via abortion rights. To defeat this so-called, quote, white genocide, as one Stewart fan expressed it, far-right women need to, quote, make white babies great again. On far-right Telegram channels, I found posters following her lead. One far-right woman posted she planned to have 6 babies, as that was above the, quote, optimum replacement rate. What Stewart and her acolytes examples show is how the Tradwife lifestyle is fixed to 2 essential components of fascist ideology that govern the modern far right: white supremacy and patriarchy.
It also really isn't helping the white supremacy or racism allegations when one of the main figures that so many Tradwives and so many conservative influencers frequently espouse and look up to is Phyllis Schlafly.
Side note, I find it so ironic that Google lists her as, quote, an American attorney, and that her own website describes her as, quote, a lawyer, conservative activist, and prolific author. You know what they didn't say she was? A wife and mother, like she told every woman they are supposed to be.
Go onto her website, look at some of her events, and who is she hosting? Wow, Moms for Liberty creator Tiffany Justice. What has Moms for Liberty been getting in trouble for? Quoting Hitler in their newsletters.
One of our moms in a newsletter quotes Hitler. Woo! I stand with that mom.
And you wonder why this movement is associated with white supremacy and extreme points of view.
But yeah, this idea of women not being in the workforce is not new, and it was literally a Nazi ideal. I'm not saying that every single person who calls themselves a Tradwife is literally a Nazi, but this is why the movement is associated with it, and there are a lot of Nazis, currently neo-Nazis and white supremacists currently still in the movement. So when you're in that world, those people are going to be around you. Adolf Hitler had strong views on women. He described his own ideal women as a, quote, cute, cuddly, naive little thing, tender, sweet, and stupid. As a negative counter-image, Nazi propaganda projected the combative, man-hating suffragettes of other countries. Are we seeing a resemblance? The best place for the woman to serve her people is in her marriage, in her family, in motherhood. These words are directly from Nazi Germany's Minister of Propaganda. These are the same words that people like the Transformed Wife, that people like Jill Rodriguez or the Fundies, people in American Christian nationalist groups say. This is what many Tradwives say. You're doing what Nazi Germany did by giving out a medal to people who have babies. It's really alarming. It's really weird, guys. Are you seeing now what we're talking about? You see the similarities here? But of course, it's really easy for rage baiters and grifters to just be like, oh, feminists are mad. Feminists don't like tradwives.
I'm amazed at this lady who looks particularly unhappy, by the way. This is the example of modern feminism.
Please make America critically think again.
That brings us to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know what you think below, and if there are any other topics you'd like to see me cover, I'm open to those as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.